So 5 seconds, we're going into race start now, and Rouleau brings the revs up and gets away nicely. McAdam bobbles a little bit off the line, but Jim Policina gets away beautifully, goes straight to the inside. Devjack closes that door, and Policina is weaving from left to right, not being able to get through on either Kostecki or Devjack, but he's got himself established nicely now into P3. He's made his way back through there as Heck joins on the back, and Kostecki in the Arco plate car just gets relegated back through there. Scotty Lodeman's had a ripper of a start there.
But look at this, what's happening out the front, side by side down the back straight, and for a moment or two, McAdam had it, but then on the inside, it's Rouleau that goes back into the front running.
A couple of young guns applying their trade here out in front, and really the more experienced racers behind haven't got a clear answer for how to combat that at the moment. Chris Smurden's gone through now on Brendan Strong and Scotty Lodeman. Lodeman got a fantastic start as Briffa drives right up the inside of the car that he owns, and he's got Scott Lodeman driving for him this weekend and goes through in the poco.com.au car. Brendan Strong looks good. He's all over the back of Chris Smurden. Let's hope Smurdo's got the pace this morning. He didn't yesterday afternoon, had an issue.
Yeah, spun.
And
that'll do it every time.
Got himself buried down in the pack, but boy, he's got Brendan Strong and Steve Briffa up the inside of him now. Briff not wasting any time and trying to move his way back through the field after the penalty was applied post-race yesterday. Matt Palmer is looking for a bit of pace. He's been in the top 5 this year, running all the time, pretty much in the top 5, just outside that at the moment. But Lodeman just drives up the inside now of Chris Smurden. Briffa drives up the inside of Smurden, and Lodeman drives up the inside of Matt Palmer. Matt Palmer's got to have issues there. He's a lot faster than this. That car's not responding to what he needs it to do at the moment. Looks like it's just not getting out of the corner well. There's some low-down issue with that car. Alex Rouleau, no low-down issues. In fact, he's giving everyone else the low-down as Jim Policina draws alongside Jason Heck. They go shadowing each other down to turn 4. Policina's going to have to give way at this point in time. Can he get the switchback, or will Kostecki put the Arco plate car in there? No, neither of those scenarios play out. Heck drives through again. Policina will draw alongside, and he's going to bring Kostecki with him. Kostecki, big dive bomb down the inside of Policina. Holds on nicely, gets through in the Arco plate car. The Mocom driver, Jim Policina, will not lie down after that one. He will want to fight back from that, as lap 2 is led by Alex Rouleau, Liam McAdam, Steve Devjack, Jason Heck, Jake Kostecki, Jim Policina, Steve Briffa, and Chris Smurden rounding out the 8. Then it's Brendan Strong and Matt Palmer. Scotty Lodeman's just been shuffled back there as well.
Yeah, effectively, Policina lost 2 places on that last lap. Surrendered his spot to those 2 Flying Falcons, now moving away from him, as now he has to be mindful it's Steve Briffa who's the one who's closing in on him.
Yeah, like I said in the start of this race, Gaz, Jim Policina's car just doesn't seem to have the power. I'm going to say it's 10 kilowatts down on what it needs to be, and might even a little bit more on some of the cars in front there, because they're just driving away from him now.
Yeah, the Fords seem to have the domination at the moment, and Briffa seems to just have the overall lap pace to be able to haul him in. There's certainly no one can match Jim off the line, and if he'd had got a bit of a run on Devjack at the start, he may have been as high as 3rd position early on.
That is true. Devjack doing quite a nice job now in the Pro Vinyl car. Complex livery. Get up close to it, and there's a lot of work going on there, the Pro Vinyl car, so it's a good rolling billboard for the Pro Vinyl people. Lots of detail going into that. Kostecki now down the inside of Heck. Looks into turn 1. A brave move. Bobbles on the inside of the track there. And Jason Heck just saying, righto, you want it that much, go through, young Jake.
Yeah, Matt Palmer on a bit of a charge back now after a poor start. And just picked off Brendan Strong as they went down to turn 1 on that occasion.
Well, this group that's sort of being led by Chris Smurden, there's a short gap back to Matt Palmer, and then they're all banked up behind him. Brendan Strong, Scotty Lodeman, Chris Delsma, and Kearns as they head down into turn 3. There's a big bunch up there as Scotty Lodeman looks to go through on Brendan Strong. But out in front now, it's the Eggleston Motorsport car chasing down the Performance West outfit, being driven by young Alex Rouleau.
Look at this big dice going back further, headed by Chris Murden. Brendan Strong just had a bit of a wobble out of turn 4. That's allowed a bit of a gap.
A bit of a wobble, a massive understeer right there. He had handfuls. The gloves went up in the air, didn't they?
Yeah.
Trying to catch that. And here we go. Matt Palmer down the inside of Chris Smurden. Smurdo is giving everyone plenty of racing room here today, so he's obviously well aware of an issue that he has got there, because he's just opening up the corner for people that are coming through, and then he's taking them again. We've got the Arco plate car off down in turn 1, and that's a big run along in the dirt there as Jim Policina now starts to move up on Jake Kostecki. That has given Steve Devjack a little bit of breathing room behind him. He's got a lot of room in front to try and, it's Jake Kostecki to try and chase down Steve Devjack as they come out of turn 3. Alex Rouleau, a healthy lead over Liam McAdam now. This last sector, the turns 4, 5 and 6, is where the Commodore works better. The Eggleston Motorsport entered Commodore of Liam McAdam. Yeah,
very close as they come out of turn 5. We're on lap 5 of this 12-lapper, and I don't think McAdam's going to go away quite yet. We've now Heck moved up one position, courtesy of Kostecki, who had only just got past him at that stage, but just ran a little bit wide at turn 1 and then just couldn't arrest it before it went off into the dirt for a couple of 100 metres.
Jake Kostecki, that car last year won races here with Ryan Simpson and pole positions here with Ryan Simpson last year. So he's got the right car he needs under him and to race hard.
Meantime, we're looking at this battle goes on, and Chris Delsmo has just passed Brandon Strong, and further up the field we've got Steve Briffa moving in on the back of Jim Policina to turn 3. There's their line astern of them as they leave that corner, and I would suggest that the poco.com.au Commodore will try and get past Policina.
Kearns gets through on Brendan Strong. Brendan Strong looks like he's got an issue there. Big oversteer coming on to
two off
turn 3.
over at turn 3. It looks like Lyle Kearns and Chris Delsmer have both had a bit of a coming together there. We only caught the tail end of that one. But Delsmer returns to the track, and Kearns is just coming back on now. So
Kearns finally had a good run there. He passed the car into the corner. Delsmer disappears off at turn 4 down into what the locals call Snake Gully.
So there must have been contact and maybe an issue with that car. There's bits of debris on the track as well. Now, if he can't move from there, we'll have to have a safety car. For sure, I think we will. I don't think he's going to get moving again.
I think if we had a hot spot on the Queensland Raceway from above right now, it would be the bit of track that's being offered up by Jim Policina and Steve Briffa. And right out in front, that's definitely the hot spot as well, as Rouleau now has McAdam closer than he has been all race long in the Eggleston Motorsport Commodore, the car that took last year's title. It took a title in the development series with Tony D'Alberto and won the main game with Rick Kelly at the wheel. So would have a vibe when you sat down in that driver's seat of, right, we're going to have some success here this weekend. Continue on its way. Steve Briffa now has got Jim Policina lining him up, but it's been a lap and a half that he's been lining him up for. And two Commodores.
At the moment, we're under a local yellow at turn 4, which takes away probably one of the better passing points at this track.
In fact, it takes away 2 into 4 and then into 5 if someone wants to jam a nose down the inside or go side by side through there. So that's a shame. It's probably a point that Liam McAdam has got in the back of his mind. And Steve Briffa's running right down the extreme right-hand side of the main straight. I'm not too sure why he's doing that. He's not close enough that he's in a slipstream that he's getting dirty air and cooking the engine in the poco.com.au car, but that might be something to try and have a chat with Steve Briffa about to see why he's running down there. It's certainly not the preferred line. It'd be the dirty side of the track, unless he's trying to clean that side of the track for later on today when he starts off over there. It's a fair way off in the future.
That's thoughtful thinking if you're going to go to that much trouble.
Ahead. Definitely. But out in front now, we have got 7 laps completed, 7.5 laps completed. They now know that Chris Delfs was there. Still yellow's being waved, so really nullifying that part of the track. And Steve Briffa's lost the back of Jim Policina
He's
now.
actually under threat now from Matt Palmer, who's closed in fairly quickly. It may be the overheating issues are returned. I've got to suggest that that's what is happening, because he has slowed up dramatically out of turn 5 and has allowed Palmer through. I dare say that's just to surrender position. That wasn't to go to the pits, and he continues on.
Matt Palmer in the STR truck bodies killer towing equipment. Ford comes charging down the straight, and Steve Briffer is definitely suffering from some sort of concern. So Jim Policina is released from the clutches of Steve Briffer.
What I think is happening, it's on down the back straight this time between Kostecki and Heck. Kostecki up the inside will get that position away. Heck's not going to let him go quite so easy. Tries to go around the outside into turn 3. Doesn't quite do it. Settles back in behind. Now he can't do anything.
Liam McAdam has got smoke billowing off that left-hand front guard. So we must have missed the coming together between these two, because he is streaming smoke off that left guard coming up to turn 4 that time around. Not this time, yeah, there is again massive plumes of smoke coming off. So he's had a bit of panel
Bit of a
pushed
rub
onto
somewhere.
the Kumho, and we didn't see that. I didn't actually think he'd been that close to Alex Rouleau to give that sort of rub. But, oh, yeah, definitely it is. Looks like one of the clips on the front guard there has just come loose, and it's rubbing on the tyre. That's not ideal. We're only 9 laps into this journey. It's a 12-lapper, so you really don't want that rubbing for 3 laps in your race. But he maintains the rage. Alex Rouleau still knows he's there. But at the moment, Steve Devjack will be the one that will be seeing that smoke. Although it's off in the distance a little bit, he'll know that if anything does go awry, he needs to pounce on that spot. Jake Kostecki into position 4. He's driven away now from Jason Heck. Jim Policina is sort of just maintaining his lap times. He's clearly ringing the neck of the car, but constantly in the 14s. Matt Palmer is now the big mover. He's operating in the mid-13s around Queensland Raceway and starting to close in on Jim Policina, and you've got to suggest that's going to be the next hot point around Queensland Raceway. Our leaders now, they'll come around to complete 10 laps, and they'll head off on the penultimate lap of this, the second race for the weekend for the Kumho Tyres V8 touring cars.
Yeah, got to suggest that Steve Briffer has got a problem with coolant, and the car is overheating, and it was reported that there was some fluid running out of that car on the warm-up lap, and he may be going over to the right-hand side of the straight just to make sure that there's no fluid left on the drive line.
Good on you, Briff. Nice, courteous racer.
Very thoughtful.
He's continuing on because there are points to be had. And at the moment, although he's not having a great run, he's not last in the race. He's sitting down there in 11th, so he will drag some points out of this weekend. Any old how?
Yeah,
As Vagotis is still...
You know any good head sealing?
Ooh, gee, you wouldn't put that in your Holden Motorsport engine or your Chevy-based supercar power plant, that is for sure. You try and fix that. What do you reckon, a bit of bars leaks or something to chuck in there?
Yeah, well, just something to get him through, 15, 16 laps of the last, 18 laps of the last race, whatever it is.
You might put that in your HQ or something like that to get through a weekend. Probably not suggested you do that with your race engine. So we're coming around, 10 laps completed for our race leaders as, Scotty Loadsman's expired trackside somewhere as well now, so that's not ideal.
Well, they both run out of the same.
Right in front of us here on
Jason
the main
Heck's
straight.
gone off at turn 6, gets it back underway again, but lost a few positions there. We'll lose another one as Matt Palmer goes past. Actually, Matt Palmer closing in on Jim Policina too, but the checkered flag will probably be a little bit too close for him to be able to snare the Holden Commodore before this race is expired.
Well, we've had 11 and a half laps, and Liam McAdam hasn't got an answer for Alex Rouleau in the Performance West car. Clearly, Winton wasn't just a flash in the pan, because he is now facing up for another race win in the Kumho Tyres V8 touring cars, and Liam McAdam is going to be the guy in his mirrors again. McAdam just closing in a little bit. They're going to have a look at that left-hand front guard before the third race for the weekend, and that is coming on later on this afternoon at 3:10 for the Kumho Tyres V8. Checkered flag being readied now for Alex Rouleau. Liam McAdam with the headlights ablaze coming to the line. A last-ditch effort to put Alex off his game, but the Performance West racer gets to the line, and Alex Rouleau takes yet another Kumho Tyres V8 touring car win.